Newey makes a big statement as the new Aston car is getting huge upgrades. Mercedes makes a big decision to make sure rivals don't catch up, and all the latest F1 news. The moment Formula One fans have been waiting for has finally arrived, and let me tell you, it's absolutely mind-blowing. Adrian Newey's first car for Aston Martin just hit the track at Barcelona, and the entire paddock is buzzing with excitement. We're talking about the AMR 26, a machine that's being called revolutionary by everyone who's laid eyes on it. If you're an F1 fan, you need to hear this story because what happened at Circuit de Catalunya might just change everything we thought we knew about modern Formula One car design. Picture this. It's the final hour of Thursday testing, and suddenly this unpainted raw carbon fiber beast emerges from the Aston Martin garage. This isn't just any car. This is Adrian Newey's masterpiece, his first design since leaving Red Bull Racing. The man who created the RB19 that dominated last season has now unleashed his creativity on Aston Martin, and the results are absolutely staggering. Let me paint you a picture of what unfolded. Lance Stroll climbed into the cockpit for those crucial first laps, but fate had other plans. After just 5 laps, an electrical gremlin forced him to park the car. 5 laps. That's all we got on day 1. But here's the thing. Those 5 laps were enough to send shockwaves through the entire Formula One community. The anticipation surrounding this car has been unlike anything we've seen in recent years. Think about it. When was the last time a single car generated this much excitement before even turning a wheel? This is Adrian Newey we're talking about, the aerodynamic genius who's designed championship-winning cars for 3 different teams. His reputation precedes him, and the AMR 26 is living up to every bit of hype. When Fernando Alonso took over driving duties on Friday, things got really interesting. The Spanish veteran managed to complete 49 laps, giving us our first real glimpse of what this machine might be capable of. Now, his lap times were over 4 seconds off Lewis Hamilton's pace-setting Mercedes. But here's the crucial detail everyone's missing. Reports from the circuit suggest Alonso was running with a speed limiter set to just 275 kilometers per hour. That's like asking Usain Bolt to run with ankle weights and then judging his performance. This speed limitation makes perfect sense when you consider this was Aston Martin's first full day running their brand new Honda Power Unit partnership. They weren't there to set lap records. They were there to gather data, validate systems, and ensure everything worked as intended. The fact that they completed nearly 50 laps without major issues is actually incredibly promising. But let's talk about what's really got everyone excited: the car itself. This thing is being described as absolutely revolutionary by technical experts. The design philosophy is completely different from what we've seen before. We're looking at innovative suspension systems, aerodynamic solutions that seem to defy conventional wisdom, and attention to detail that's bordering on obsessive. Neil Zambardi Christie, a veteran fabricator at Aston Martin, took to social media to express his amazement. This guy has worked on 25 different Formula One cars throughout his career, so he knows what he's talking about. He called the AMR 26 something special, praising not just the design, but the incredible effort from every single person at Aston Martin to bring this vision to life. What struck me most about his comments was the human element. He talked about how everyone, from the factory cleaners to the technical directors, played a crucial role in creating this machine. People worked insane hours for months, sacrificing time with their families to meet impossible deadlines. That level of dedication and commitment is what separates good teams from great ones. The visual impact of this car cannot be overstated. Running in bare carbon fiber, it looks like something from the future. But this wasn't just an aesthetic choice. Former Aston Martin strategist Bernie Collins explained that leaving the car unpainted serves a strategic purpose. It makes it incredibly difficult for rival teams to study the aerodynamic details when the car is moving at speed. It's a clever way to hide their innovations in plain sight. The technical innovations we can see are absolutely fascinating. The suspension system appears to be pushing boundaries that other teams haven't dared to explore. The aerodynamic package features elements reminiscent of the legendary 2005 McLaren, but executed with modern understanding and technology. Every surface, every curve, every detail has been crafted with purpose. What's particularly intriguing is how Newey has approached the integration with Honda's power unit. This partnership represents a fresh start for both parties. Honda is eager to prove themselves after their previous Formula One struggles, while Aston Martin is betting everything on Newey's vision. The marriage of Japanese engineering precision with British design flair could be absolutely explosive. The timing of this car's debut couldn't be more perfect. Formula One is entering a period of relative stability in the regulations, which means teams like Aston Martin have the opportunity to make significant gains if they get their concepts right. With Newey's track record and Aston Martin's resources, they're positioned to potentially challenge the established order. Industry insiders are already speculating about what this means for the championship battle ahead. If Newey has managed to find significant performance gains that other teams have missed, we could be looking at a completely different competitive landscape. Remember, this is the same man who designed the Red Bull RB19 that won 21 out of 22 races last season. The psychological impact on other teams cannot be ignored either. Seeing Newey's creation on track, even in limited running, sends a clear message to the rest of the grid. Aston Martin isn't just participating anymore. They're coming to win. The combination of Newey's genius, Fernando Alonso's experience, and Lance Stroll's financial backing creates a formidable proposition. Looking ahead, the real test will come when we see this car unleashed at full potential. Those speed limitations will come off, the development will accelerate, and we'll get to see what Adrian Newey has really created. If early impressions are anything to go by, the AMR26 could be the car that reshuffles the entire Formula One deck. The story of this car is far from over. We've only seen the opening chapter of what could be an incredible season-long narrative. Will Newey's magic work at Aston Martin like it did at Red Bull? Can they challenge for victories and potentially even the championship? Based on what we've seen so far, anything seems possible. This is why we love Formula One. The constant innovation, the brilliant minds pushing boundaries, and the never-ending quest for that extra tenth of a second. The AMR26 represents everything exciting about this sport, and we're just getting started. Just 4 days ago, something happened at the Barcelona Formula One testing that has everyone in the motorsport world talking. George Russell, Mercedes driver and one of the sharpest minds on the current grid, made a statement that could completely reshape how we view the upcoming 2026 season. He called the Aston Martin AMR26 the most standout car design at the shakedown and warned that it could be a genuine threat at the front of the field. But here's the thing that makes this even more intriguing. Aston Martin barely showed their hand. Picture this scenario. You're at a poker table, and while everyone else is playing their cards openly, one player sits quietly in the corner, barely participating. Then, in the final moments, they reveal just a glimpse of what they're holding. And suddenly everyone at the table realizes they might be in serious trouble. That's exactly what happened in Barcelona last week. While Mercedes was dominating the unofficial timesheets with Russell and his teammate, Kimi Antonelli, reportedly completing an impressive 500 laps between them, Aston Martin took a completely different approach. They waited. They watched. And then, in the final hour of the fourth day, they rolled out their creation, the AMR26, and immediately caught everyone's attention. What Russell saw in those brief moments clearly left an impression. This is a driver who has been around long enough to know what competitive machinery looks like. Someone who understands the subtle differences between a car that looks fast and one that actually is fast. When he describes something as the most standout design, oh no, that carries weight. But let's dig deeper into what makes this Aston Martin so special. The car features innovative design choices that have Russell and other paddock observers talking, particularly around the rear suspension setup. These aren't just cosmetic changes or marketing gimmicks. These are fundamental engineering decisions that could translate into real performance advantages on track. The timing of this development is fascinating when you consider the broader context of Formula One's current landscape. We're seeing a sport where marginal gains matter more than ever. where the difference between winning and losing can be measured in thousandths of a second. In this environment, any team that can find a significant technical advantage has the potential to disrupt the established order completely. Russell's Mercedes team appeared to have a faultless performance during the Barcelona testing, maintaining their reputation as pre-season favorites. But the British driver isn't getting carried away with early optimism. He understands that testing performance and race day results can be two completely different things. His cautious approach speaks to the respect he has for the competition, particularly what he witnessed from Aston Martin. The partnership between Aston Martin and Honda adds another layer of intrigue to this story. Honda brings proven credentials to this relationship, having previously supplied Red Bull during their most recent championship runs. This isn't a manufacturer trying to find their feet in Formula One. This is a company that knows exactly what it takes to build race-winning power units. When Russell mentions that Honda has had very good engines beneath Red Bull in recent years, he's acknowledging a track record of success that can't be ignored. The Japanese manufacturer has demonstrated their ability to produce competitive power units under pressure in championship fighting scenarios. That experience and expertise now sits behind the Aston Martin project. The presence of Adrian Newey in the Aston Martin story cannot be understated. This is a designer whose reputation precedes him, someone who has consistently found innovative solutions to complex aerodynamic challenges throughout his career. When Newey puts his stamp on a project, the entire paddock takes notice. Russell's specific mention of what Adrian has done with the car suggests there are elements of the AMR26 design that go beyond conventional thinking. What makes Russell's assessment even more compelling is his acknowledgement that visual impressiveness doesn't always translate to lap time performance. He specifically noted that this isn't a competition about how attractive a car looks, but about how quickly it can navigate a racing circuit. This measured perspective suggests that his praise for the Aston Martin design comes from a technical understanding rather than superficial observation. The limited running that Aston Martin completed during the Barcelona test actually works in their favor from a strategic perspective. While other teams were accumulating hundreds of laps and potentially revealing their performance capabilities, Aston Martin kept their cards close to their chest. This approach means their true pace remains largely unknown heading into the official pre-season testing in Bahrain. Russell painted a picture of a competitive landscape that includes Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari, and Mercedes as the four teams likely to be closely matched. However, his specific caveat about not discounting what they've seen from Aston Martin suggests he believes there could be a fifth contender capable of disrupting this established group. The Mercedes driver's reference to the 2010 and 2012 seasons provides important context for what he hopes to see in 2026. Those were years when multiple teams and drivers were genuinely fighting for race wins and championships, creating some of the most compelling racing Formula One has seen in recent decades. If Aston Martin can indeed join the front-running conversation, it could deliver exactly the kind of competitive environment that makes the sport at its most exciting. The strategic implications of Aston Martin's late appearance at Barcelona extend beyond just their own team. Other constructors now have limited data about what the AMR26 is capable of, which makes it difficult to benchmark their own performance or understand where they might need to focus development efforts. This information advantage could prove crucial in the early stages of the season. Looking ahead to the official pre-season testing in Bahrain, all eyes will be on Aston Martin to see whether they can back up the visual impression they made in Barcelona with genuine pace. The Bahrain circuit will provide a more comprehensive testing environment, allowing teams to explore different aspects of car performance under more realistic conditions. Russell's warning about the Aston Martin threat represents more than just respectful acknowledgement of a competitor. It reflects a genuine concern that this team might have found something significant in their design approach, something that could challenge the established pecking order when the season begins in Melbourne. The combination of Honda's proven power unit expertise, Adrian Newey's aerodynamic genius, and Aston Martin's ambitious technical approach creates a compelling package that demands serious attention from rivals. Whether this translates into race-winning performance remains to be seen. But Russell's assessment suggests the possibility is very real indeed. Picture this. You're a Formula One driver. You've been waiting months to get your hands on your team's brand new race car. And when you finally do, you get exactly 5 laps before everything goes wrong. That's precisely what happened to Lance Stroll at the Barcelona preseason testing. And the story behind those 5 disappointing laps reveals so much more about the pressures and realities of modern Formula One than you might think. What we witnessed at the Circuit de Catalunya wasn't just a minor technical hiccup. It was a perfect storm of timing, expectations, and the brutal reality that in Formula One, every single lap counts. And when you're dealing with a completely revolutionary car designed by the legendary Adrian Newey, powered by a brand new Honda engine, those 5 laps become even more precious. Let me paint you the complete picture of what really went down during those crucial testing days, because this story goes way deeper than just a driver getting unlucky with track time. This is about the immense pressure facing Aston Martin as they try to climb back to the front of the grid, the psychological impact on a driver who's constantly fighting to prove himself, and the incredible complexity of bringing a completely new Formula One car to life. Aston Martin arrived at Barcelona on Wednesday evening with their all-new car, the AMR 26, and immediately you could sense something special was happening. This wasn't just any new car, this was Adrian Newey's first creation for the team, featuring some absolutely mind-blowing design elements that had the entire paddock talking. The car sported those iconic horn-like structures reminiscent of the McLaren from 2005, and the suspension setup was so radical that people were questioning whether Newey was pushing boundaries that others wouldn't even dare to explore. But here's where the story gets really interesting. The team spent the entire Thursday just building the car and running system checks. Think about that for a moment. They had this incredible machine that everyone wanted to see in action, but they couldn't rush it. Every bolt had to be perfect, every system had to be verified, because when you're dealing with a completely new power unit partnership with Honda and a design philosophy that's never been tested before, there's absolutely no room for error. When Lance Stroll finally climbed into that cockpit during the final hour of Thursday's session, the anticipation was absolutely electric. This was the moment everyone had been waiting for. The Canadian driver, who's faced his fair share of criticism throughout his career, had the honor of being the first person to take the AMR 26 around a racing circuit. It should have been a career-defining moment, a chance to get valuable feedback on what could potentially be a championship-winning car. Instead, what happened next was every driver's worst nightmare. Stroll completed just 1 installation lap, returned to the garage for checks, and then headed back out onto the track. But before he could really start pushing the car and understanding its characteristics, disaster struck. The track marshals spotted something wrong with the car's LED warning lights, possibly indicating an electrical issue with Honda's new power unit. The signal came immediately. "Stop the car, session over." Just like that, 5 laps. That's all Lance Stroll got from his first day with the AMR 26. Now, you might think 5 laps doesn't sound like much, and you'd be absolutely right. But let me explain why this was so devastating from a driver's perspective. Pre-season testing isn't just about going fast. It's about understanding the car's behavior, learning how it responds to different inputs, getting a feel for the brakes, the steering, the power delivery. Every single lap provides crucial data that helps the driver build confidence and gives the team vital information about how their creation performs in the real world. When you only get 5 laps, you're essentially still in installation mode. You can't push the car to its limits. You can't test different setups. You can't even begin to understand what the car might be capable of when the season starts. It's like being given a brand new smartphone but only being allowed to turn it on and check that the screen works before someone takes it away from you. The frustration must have been absolutely crushing for Stroll. This is a driver who's constantly fighting to prove that he belongs in Formula One, that his success isn't just because his father owns the team. Getting the first drive in what could be a race-winning car was supposed to be his moment to shine, to provide crucial feedback that could shape the car's development for the entire season. Instead, he was left watching from the sidelines as his teammate Fernando Alonso took over for Friday's running. And what a difference Friday made. Alonso, the 2-time world champion with decades of experience, got the full 8 hours of track time that Stroll had been hoping for. He completed 49 laps, finished the day 10th fastest among the 11 cars running, and more importantly, he got to experience the full range of what the AMR26 could do. He could push the boundaries, test different setups, provide detailed feedback to the engineers, and start building the foundation for what the team hopes will be a successful season. The contrast couldn't have been starker. While Stroll was limited to essentially a warm-up session, Alonso got the complete Formula One testing experience. And in a sport where every millisecond matters, where driver confidence can make the difference between podiums and points finishes, that disparity in track time could have significant implications. Our former Aston Martin strategist Bernie Collins perfectly captured the situation when she suggested that Stroll must be feeling somewhat hard done by. And honestly, who wouldn't be? Imagine preparing for months, studying data, working with engineers, mentally preparing for your first experience with a revolutionary new car, only to have it cut short by a technical issue that was completely beyond your control. But here's what makes this story even more compelling. Collins also noted that Stroll appeared remarkably relaxed about the whole situation. He wasn't showing visible frustration or disappointment, which suggests either incredible professionalism or quiet confidence in what's to come. Maybe he understands that this is just part of the unpredictable nature of Formula One. Tours where technical issues and bad luck are simply part of the game. The bigger question is what this means for the championship battle ahead. Aston Martin delayed their testing program compared to other teams, which already put them at a disadvantage in terms of mileage and data collection. When you then factor in the lost track time from Stroll's truncated session, the team is essentially playing catch-up before the season even begins. However, there's reason for optimism. The fact that the car was back on track the next day and completed significant mileage with Alonso suggests that whatever electrical issue caused the problem was quickly identified and resolved. In Formula One, the ability to quickly diagnose and fix problems is often just as important as raw performance. And Aston Martin's engineering team showed they could respond effectively under pressure. What happens next will be crucial for both Stroll and the team. Collins mentioned that they'll likely try to even out the lap distribution during future testing sessions, potentially in Bahrain, where Stroll might get the lion's share of track time to compensate for his Barcelona disappointment. This kind of balancing act is common in Formula One, where teams have to manage not just the technical development of the car, but also ensure both drivers get adequate preparation time. The AMR26 represents so much more than just another new Formula One car. It's Adrian Newey's vision for how Aston Martin can challenge the established order. It's Honda's return to a works partnership. And it's potentially the key to unlocking the team's championship ambitions. For Lance Stroll, those 5 laps were just the beginning of what he hopes will be a season-defining relationship with a truly special racing machine. As we head toward the new season, this story serves as a perfect reminder of just how unpredictable Formula One can be. In a sport where preparation meets opportunity, where technical excellence collides with human ambition, sometimes you get everything you hoped for, and sometimes you get 5 laps and a lesson in patience. What do you think? Was this just bad luck, or does it reveal deeper issues about how teams manage their testing programs? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe because we'll be following this story throughout the season. Next. The Formula One world is buzzing with excitement, and there's a story developing that could completely reshape the Red Bull family dynamics. What if I told you that a 19-year-old rookie might just eclipse one of motorsport's most promising talents before the season even gets underway? This is the tale of Arvid Lindblad, the Swedish sensation who's about to make his Formula One debut with Racing Bulls, and how he could potentially outshine his experienced teammate Liam Lawson in what promises to be a fascinating 2026 campaign. Let me paint you the picture of where we stand right now. The Red Bull organization has undergone some major reshuffling heading into this season. Max Verstappen remains the undisputed king at the main Red Bull team, but his new teammate is Isaac Hadjar, the Frenchman who beat out Lawson for that coveted seat. This left Lawson back at Racing Bulls, where he'll be partnered with the rookie Lindblad. But here's where things get really interesting. Yuki Tsunoda, who many expected to get a shot at the senior team, has been relegated to a reserve role. This tells us something crucial about Red Bull's philosophy right now. They're prioritizing fresh talent and potential over experience. Now, you might be wondering why anyone would bet on a 19-year-old rookie over Liam Lawson, who's already proven himself in Formula One machinery. Well, the early signs from Barcelona testing have been absolutely fascinating, and they're painting a picture that might surprise you. At the recent Barcelona shakedown, which gave us our first glimpse of how the 2026 season might unfold, and the performance gaps between teammates were revealing. Verstappen was the fastest of all 4 Red Bull-backed drivers, sitting 7th overall and maintaining a 6/10 advantage over his new teammate Hadjar. But here's the kicker. Lawson held exactly the same margin over Lindblad at Racing Bulls. On paper, that might seem like Lawson has the upper hand, but veteran observers are reading between the lines differently. The fact that a complete Formula One rookie is only 6/10 behind an experienced driver during his very first proper test session is actually remarkable. The Sky Sports pundits have been particularly impressed with what they've witnessed. Martin Brundle, whose opinion carries serious weight in the paddock, made a simple but significant statement about hearing impressive things regarding Lindblad's performance. And Ted Kravitz echoed these sentiments, suggesting that Christian Horner's faith in the young Swede appears to be well-founded. But this isn't just about one test session or pundit speculation. The belief in Lindblad runs deep within the Red Bull organization, starting from the very top. Christian Horner, before his recent departure from the team principal role, consistently praised Lindblad as a future talent, highlighting his attitude, approach, and determination as key strengths. Even more telling was Helmut Marko's assessment. The Austrian, who recently left his role as motorsport advisor but was instrumental in developing Red Bull's driver program for years, called Lindblad a man for the future after his impressive debut in practice at the British Grand Prix. During that session, Lindblad finished 14th in the notoriously difficult RB21, a performance that Marko described as professional with excellent feedback. What makes Lindblad's story even more compelling is his relationship with Marko. In a sport where many drivers have struggled to work with the demanding Austrian, Lindblad has always maintained an excellent relationship with him. The young Swede has openly credited Marko with believing in him during difficult periods when others didn't, showing a maturity beyond his years. This brings us to the current dynamic at Racing Bulls and why it could spell trouble for Lawson's long-term prospects. Racing Bulls isn't just another team. It's explicitly designed as a pathway to the senior Red Bull squad. Every performance is scrutinized through the lens of future potential, and the pressure to deliver is immense. Lawson knows this pressure intimately. He's already experienced the roller coaster of Red Bull politics, having been promoted to the main team to replace Sergio Perez at the start of 2025, only to be demoted back to Racing Bulls after just 2 races. That kind of experience can either make you stronger or create psychological baggage. The current situation sets up a fascinating 3-way battle for the future of Red Bull. Verstappen's seat is secure, but come 2027, there will likely be an opening alongside him. The contenders? Hadjar, who's currently in the seat but needs to prove himself. Lawson, looking for redemption. And Lindblad, the dark horse with everything to gain. This is where Lindblad's rookie status might actually work in his favor. He's coming into Formula One with no baggage, no previous disappointments, and no pressure of living up to past performances. Every weekend is a fresh opportunity to impress, and early indicators suggest he's making the most of it. The timing couldn't be more perfect for a breakout star either. Formula One is entering a new era with the 2026 regulations, meaning everyone is starting somewhat fresh. The cars are different, the engines are new, and established hierarchies could be turned upside down. In this environment, raw talent and adaptability often trump experience. What makes Lindblad particularly intriguing is his approach to the sport. Unlike many young drivers who come in with swagger and confidence bordering on arrogance, he's shown remarkable humility and professionalism. His comments about his relationship with Marco demonstrate emotional intelligence that's rare in teenage athletes. The pressure on Lawson cannot be understated. He's the veteran in this partnership, the one with Formula One experience, and the one everyone expects to dominate his rookie teammate. If Lindblad starts matching or even exceeding his pace regularly, it could create a narrative that becomes impossible for Lawson to escape. Red Bull's history with driver management is notoriously ruthless. They've made mid-season changes before, and they're not sentimental about keeping drivers who aren't performing. This environment breeds exceptional talent, but also claims casualties along the way. For Lindblad, the opportunity is enormous. Being the only rookie on the 2026 grid means all eyes will be on his development. If he can consistently run close to Lawson while showing improvement throughout the season, he could leapfrog not just his teammate, but potentially even Hajar in Red Bull's pecking order. The psychological aspect of this battle will be fascinating to watch. Lawson needs to reassert his dominance and prove that his brief stint at Red Bull wasn't a fluke. Meanwhile, Lindblad has the freedom that comes with low expectations, allowing him to drive without the weight of history on his shoulders. As we look ahead to the 2026 season, this teammate battle at Racing Bulls might just be one of the most important storylines to follow. While the championship fight will grab headlines, the quiet development of Arvid Lindblad could be shaping the future of Formula One. The stage is set, the players are in position. Can the season ahead promises to reveal whether the impressive young Swede can indeed outshine his more experienced teammate? In the unforgiving world of Formula One, where careers can be made or broken in a single season, Arvid Lindblad has the chance to write his own remarkable story. What if I told you that one of Formula One's most overlooked drivers just landed what could be the most important role of his career? And no, it's not a race seat. Jack Doohan's journey from forgotten Alpine cast-off to Haas reserve driver might seem like a step backward, but what happened behind the scenes reveals a story of survival, strategy, and maybe even redemption in the ruthless world of Formula One. Let me take you back to where this all began. Picture this: Abu Dhabi 2024, the season finale under those iconic lights. A young Australian driver named Jack Doohan gets his first taste of Formula One, replacing an established veteran for Alpine. The motorsport world watches with curiosity. Here's someone with genuine pedigree, son of motorcycle legend Mick Doohan, finally getting his shot at the pinnacle of racing. But here's where the story takes its first dramatic turn. Before Doohan even completed a full season in 2025, whispers started circulating through the paddock. Was he really Alpine's long-term choice, or just a temporary placeholder? The rumors centered around one name that would haunt Doohan's brief Formula One tenure: Franco Colapinto. Now, imagine being in Doohan's racing boots. You're living your childhood dream, but every race weekend brings fresh speculation about your replacement. That psychological pressure alone would break most people, but Doohan pressed on. He completed 6 races for Alpine during the 2025 season, giving everything he had to prove his worth on the world's most demanding racing circuits. But Formula One can be devastatingly unforgiving. Despite his efforts, Doohan failed to score a single point during those 6 outings. Now, before you write him off, consider this context. Alpine wasn't exactly the most competitive package on the grid. Even when Franco Colapinto eventually took over, he couldn't manage to score points either. This wasn't necessarily about driver talent. Sometimes it's about being in the right car at the right time. The inevitable happened. Flavio Briatore, Alpine's team principal, made the call that every racing driver dreads. Doohan was out. The speculation that had followed him for months became reality, and suddenly, a young man who had tasted Formula One glory found himself on the outside looking in. This is where most stories about dropped Formula One drivers end. They disappear into obscurity, maybe resurface in other racing series, or hang up their helmets altogether. But Doohan's story was far from over, and what happened next shows the kind of determination that separates true racers from the rest. Facing the very real possibility of never returning to Formula One, Doohan explored his options. He even traveled to Japan in mid-December for a 3-day test with condo racing in Super Formula. For many drivers, this would represent a natural next step, a chance to race competitively, even if it meant leaving Formula One dreams behind. But here's what makes this story fascinating. After that test, Doohan made a decision that reveals everything about his character. He walked away from what could have been a guaranteed racing seat in Super Formula. Instead, he chose to bet everything on his Formula One ambitions, even without knowing if another opportunity would come. This brings us to the most intriguing part of our story. While the motorsport world focused on the headline drivers and their multi-million-dollar contracts, something significant was happening behind the scenes at Haas. The American team, now backed by Toyota and operating under new leadership, was quietly building something special. Team principal Ayao Komatsu saw something in Doohan that others might have missed. Here was a driver who had faced adversity, maintained his professionalism, and never stopped believing in his abilities. More importantly, Doohan brought something valuable: recent Formula One experience combined with the hunger of someone who had briefly lost everything. The announcement came as a surprise to many. Jack Doohan, the driver many had written off, too was officially joining Haas as their reserve driver for the 2026 season. Alongside Japanese driver Ryo Hirakawa, he would complete the team's driver lineup, working alongside race drivers Esteban Ocon and Oliver Bearman. Now, you might be thinking, reserve driver, so what? He's still not racing, but this perspective misses the bigger picture entirely. In modern Formula One, the reserve driver role has evolved into something much more significant than it once was. These drivers are integral to team development, spend countless hours in simulators, and must be ready to step into a race car at a moment's notice. For Doohan, this represents something more valuable than another brief race stint with an uncompetitive team. At Haas, he joins an organization that's undergone significant changes. With Toyota's backing bringing new resources and ambition, he'll work closely with experienced engineers, contribute to car development, and most importantly, stay sharp and ready for when the next opportunity arrives. Consider the strategic brilliance of this move. Rather than accepting a racing seat in a lower category, Doohan chose to remain in Formula One's ecosystem. He'll attend every race weekend, work with cutting-edge technology, and maintain relationships with teams, drivers, and media that could prove crucial for his future. Team principal Komatsu's comments reveal the mutual respect behind this signing. He specifically mentioned Doohan's racing resume and Formula One experience, but more tellingly, he praised the dedication required to remain sharp as a reserve driver. This role demands mental toughness that many don't appreciate. The timing couldn't be more perfect for both parties. Formula One is entering a new regulatory era in 2026, with dramatically different cars and power units. Teams will need every advantage they can get, and experienced drivers who understand modern Formula One machinery become incredibly valuable assets. For Doohan personally, this move represents a masterclass in career management. Instead of disappearing from Formula One's collective consciousness, he'll remain visible, relevant, and ready. History shows us that reserve drivers who position themselves strategically often get unexpected opportunities when injuries, performance issues, or contractual situations create openings. Looking at the broader Formula One landscape, Doohan's signing reflects changing dynamics in how teams approach driver development and preparation. The days when reserve drivers were ceremonial positions are long gone. Teams now invest significantly in keeping these drivers race-ready because the difference between winning and losing championships can come down to a single substitution. What makes this story even more compelling is the human element. Here's a young driver who experienced both the highest highs and lowest lows of Formula One within a remarkably short time frame. His response to adversity, his strategic thinking about his career, and his willingness to bet on himself when others had written him off, speaks to something deeper than just racing talent. As we look toward the 2026 season, Jack Doohan's journey reminds us that Formula One careers rarely follow straight lines. Sometimes the most important moves happen away from the spotlight, in simulator sessions and development work that fans never see. Sometimes stepping back strategically positions you to leap forward when the moment is right. The Australian story is far from over. In fact, his move to Haas might just be the beginning of the most important chapter of his Formula One journey. In a sport where timing is everything, Doohan has positioned himself perfectly for whatever comes next.